Hi, good morning, everybody. It is Dr. Lisa here in Tampa, Florida, where we are continuing to serve on the front lines with a really busy primary care practice. I have about 6,000 patients with a cutting-edge integrative team. And we are getting busier by the day, which has been great. We love serving our patients and keeping them in tip-top shape from an immune standpoint, from a gut standpoint. We are still providing IV therapies. And for those of you that are my patients and those of you that are not, I just wanted to let you know I am going to be in a really cool panel this evening live at 7 p.m. Check out the link. I'll post it on Facebook, and it's on Instagram with the bone broth diet naturopath, Dr. Kellyanne. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a panel discussion on how we are all approaching getting out of this, the lockdown, and what we've seen on the front lines as practitioners. So it should be a pretty good one. Today, I wanted to talk briefly about an interesting study that came up regarding the virus with regards to a mineral, selenium. We've all been talking about a lot of, some minerals, zinc especially, about how it's important for the immune system and in the pathophysiology of SARS-CoV-2. So I hadn't really seen anything or heard anything until recently about another trace mineral, which we commonly think of in regards to the thyroid gland. Selenium is a very interesting one because it turns out there are areas in the country that are where the soil, and all over the world really, where the soil can be more selenium deficient or more selenium rich. And what some of the studies are showing out of China, which I found super fascinating, is that the areas where the soil is more selenium rich and the population has higher levels of selenium in their diet as well, are faring better in terms of outcomes from COVID-19. So when I looked it up, it has to do with the fact that certain RNA viruses, so the COVID-19 virus is termed an RNA virus in terms of how it does its damage, kind of getting in and influencing that part of our cells, which is a messenger that creates proteins and other things inside of all of your cells, and that the virus kind of hijacks that process. So apparently what happens is that selenium levels go down significantly with this virus because it also hijacks our minerals. And I haven't had a chance to research all the other minerals. I plan on doing that, and I'll share it with you as I get more data. But it hijacks those minerals and the levels drop significantly so that you may have other problems from the virus that aren't even directly viral related. And what does that mean? Well, the thing that selenium helps in regards to thyroid is with something called T4 to T3 conversion. If you have had your blood drawn, like all of you have, probably at one time or another, for thyroid function, there is a huge variability in lab testing. My patients are used to a very broad panel where we look at the TSH, which is the signal from the brain telling the thyroid to make hormone, the T4 and T3, both total and free. So T4 and T3 are the primary thyroid hormones. T is an amino acid called tyrosine that you get from eating protein. And the number is the number of iodines. So when you are reviewing your lab tests, that's something just kind of interesting to keep in mind. So T4, that compound, which is synthroid levothyroxine when it's being replaced in a medication standpoint, that means that the tyrosine has 4 iodines attached to it. T3, same thing, tyrosine, but only 3. And you would think maybe that the one with 4 would be more biologically active, but it's really interesting. Most of the things we really want when it comes to thyroid, what we think about with regards to the thyroid gland, like metabolism and energy and just feeling on top of our game, our brain being clear, those things in those parts of the body, especially muscular and metabolism wise, are more sensitive to actually T3. So when we have typical production of thyroid in somebody who's not taking medication, although it also applies to those of you that are, if your thyroid's working appropriately, it makes about 80% T4. And then it relies on an enzyme called 5'-deiodinase to clip off an iodine and make the T3 that goes and does its work at the cell. So I always use an analogy. It's not as relevant now because of Uber, but I tell patients that the T4 waiting around to get converted to T3 is not so easy. It's kind of like catching a cab in New York City in the rain. Once you catch the cab, so you've actually made T3, you still have to find the building, which is the receptor. There's a doorman, there's people blocking the door. You got to get up 100 flights in the elevator to the nucleus. So when you look at thyroid levels, a TSH, which is just the brain signal, is really not telling us if that T3 got up 100 flights in the elevator to turn on your metabolism. So it's really important to have your doctor take a look at a broader thyroid panel. And the reason why I'm bringing this up today is because when RNA viruses like COVID-19 are hijacking one of the number one nutrients that helps conversion from T4 to T3, which is selenium, then you can just imagine that there are probably a multitude of other issues. The thyroid handles like 500 things in your body, not to mention the immune system itself, energy, the extreme exhaustion people are getting with COVID-19. Could it be partially because we are literally stopping thyroid production in its tracks? So that was something I found super, super interesting. Your kind of homework or to-do list would be to pull up old blood work or take a look at your numbers. And I would suggest during this time, especially while we are starting to come back into contact with more people. And I was driving around in Tampa yesterday, driving home, and there were people everywhere. So clearly we haven't quite got the ease into this memo. People need to be cautious. They need to be washing their hands, still trying to adhere to some level of social distancing that makes sense. And as we do that, we can expect that more of us are going to be exposed. So whatever we can do to boost immunity, but also to help our bodies in general. So think about taking maybe some extra selenium. Usually I recommend 200. You can take it once or twice a day. You could also just grab a good quality multi-mineral. And we will have those available on our website if that helps you as well. So today I'm going to end with an affirmation. I hope the thyroid chat was helpful. I love talking about thyroid. I have Hashimoto's myself. It was completely out of control with TPO antibodies, which is another type of thyroid conversation we can have if you want, maybe next week. And my antibodies were over 2,000, which was crazy, crazy high after I had my daughter. And after all the work that I did with different modalities of healing, leaky gut, getting viruses killed off, working with a naturopath, doing muscle testing, getting heavy metals out. My antibodies now are about 50, which is pretty incredible. So we can help you with all of that. Take a multi-mineral, take some selenium, especially since this new data has come out. And I will end with an affirmation for today, which is, I choose foods and supplements that provide my body with all the nutrients needed for an optimal immune system. I choose foods and supplements that provide my body with all the nutrients that I need for an optimal immune system. And remember, in addition to that, the foods that take away those nutrients and minerals, like gluten and inflammatory grains, let's stay away from those. We only have a little more time in this space where we can process and try new things and cook and be present. So take advantage of it. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day today, and I will see you all here tomorrow. Check me out tonight live, Dr. Kellyanne on Instagram, and I will post the link. It should be a great chat about emerging after COVID-19. Bye for now.